Part 1. The Unexpected Arrival. Dr. Kim Taemin wiped the sweat from his forehead as he finished cleaning his medical tools. The small clinic on New Busan Colony was quiet today. Only 3 patients had come in during the morning hours. 1 human, farmer with a broken finger. 1 blue-skinned trader with a bad cough. 1 young colonist who needed medicine for his sick mother. This was how most days went in his frontier clinic. Simple problems, easy fixes. Nothing too exciting or dangerous. Taemin liked it this way. He had moved to New Busan 3 years ago to escape the chaos of the inner worlds. Here on the edge of human space, life moved slowly. People were friendly. The biggest worry was usually bad weather or crop failures. The afternoon sun streamed through the clinic windows. Taemin sat at his desk, updating patient records on his old computer. The machine hummed softly in the quiet room. Outside, he could hear children playing in the street. Somewhere in the distance, a transport ship was landing at the spaceport. Everything was normal and peaceful. Then the front door exploded. Open, a young alien girl stumbled into the clinic. She was small and thin, maybe the size of a human teenager. Her skin was pale purple with silver markings along her arms and face. Her large eyes were bright yellow and filled with panic. She wore torn clothes that looked like they had seen many hard days, but it was not the girl that made Taemin jump from his chair, in shock. Behind her was a creature from nightmares. The beast stood as tall as a man at its shoulder. Its body was covered in black fur that seemed to absorb light. 4 powerful legs ended in claws that could tear through metal. Its head was long and wolf-like, but much larger. Teeth like white daggers filled its mouth. The creature's eyes glowed red in the dim light of the clinic. Tae-min knew what this was. Everyone in the galaxy knew about Shtohones. They were the apex predators of death worlds. Stories said they could hunt anything. They never gave up once they picked a target. They killed for sport as much as for food. No weapon could stop them. No armor could protect you. And now one was in his clinic. The girl fell to her knees in front of Taemin's desk. Tears ran down her purple cheeks as she spoke in broken standard language. "Please help," she said, her voice shaking. "Kai is hurt. He is dying. Please help him." Taemin stared at her in confusion. Help who? Help the monster that was going to kill them all. He reached slowly for the emergency button under his desk. One press would call the colony security forces. They would come with heavy weapons and try to kill the Shadowhound before it could hurt anyone. But as his finger moved toward the button, something strange happened. The massive predator took one careful step forward. Its head lowered toward the ground. A soft whining sound came from its throat. The sound was not threatening. It was the sound of an animal in pain. That was when Taemin saw the wound. A large crystalline spike was buried deep in the right side of the creature's neck. The crystal was dark red and seemed to pulse with its own light. Black blood had dried around the wound. The beast's breathing was labored and slow. Its red eyes, which should have been filled with hunting fury, instead showed exhaustion and suffering. "Kai saved me," the girl continued, still on her knees. "Bad men took me. Ship crashed. Kai found me. He protected me for a long time, but Patrol ship hurt him when we escaped. Crystal thing in his neck. Poison is killing him." Taemin looked from the girl to the Shadowhound. The creature's eyes met his own. For a moment, he saw something impossible. In those red orbs, intelligence, understanding, and desperate hope. "You want me to treat this thing?" Taemin asked slowly. "His name is Kai," the girl said firmly. "He is not thing. He is my friend, only friend I have in whole galaxy." The doctor's mind raced. Everything he knew about Shadowhounds said they were mindless killing machines. They attacked anything that moved. They could not be tamed or reasoned with. Yet this one had somehow bonded with a young alien girl. It had protected her instead of eating her. And now, it was asking for help instead of taking what it wanted. By force. "What is your name?" Taemin asked the girl. "I am Lyra," she replied, "from Valter people. My home world is gone now. Bad Empire took it, took my family, sold me to slavers, but Kai kept me safe." Taemin had heard of the Valter. They were a peaceful species known for their empathic abilities. They could sense emotions and sometimes communicate through feelings rather than words. The Hegemony Empire had conquered their world 2 years ago. Most of the population had been sold into slavery. "How long has that crystal been in his neck?" Taemin asked. 3 days, Lyra said, "getting worse. He tries to hide pain, but I feel it. Crystal is spreading poison through his body. Soon, it will reach his heart." The Shadowhound Kai made another soft whining sound. His legs shook as he tried to stay standing. The massive predator was clearly fighting just to remain conscious. Taemin looked at his medical equipment. He had tools for treating humans and most common alien species, but a Shadowhound, the anatomy would be completely different. The crystal looked like some kind of weapon he had never seen before. And if he made one wrong move during treatment, the creature might kill him and everyone else in the colony. "Doctor," Lyra said softly, "I know you scared. Everyone's scared of Shadowhounds. But Kai is good. He chose to save me when he could have eaten me. He chose to protect me when he could have left me to die. Now I ask you to choose to..." Help someone who needs it, even if they look scary. The girl's yellow eyes stared into his own. Behind her, the wounded predator waited patiently for his decision. Tae-min thought about why he became a doctor. It was not for money or fame. It was to help those who could not help themselves. To heal the sick and injured, to ease suffering. Wherever he found it, he had never imagined that would include treating a shadowhound. But looking at the pain in both their eyes, he realized he had already made his choice. All right, Taemin said quietly. Let me see what I can do. Part 2. The Impossible Bonder. Taemin moved slowly around the massive shadowhound. His hands shook as he held his medical scanner. The device beeped softly as it read the creature's vital signs. What he saw on the screen made his heart race with worry. His body temperature is too high, Taemin said quietly. Heart rate is very fast. The poison from that crystal is spreading through his blood. Lyra knelt beside Kai's head. Her small purple hand rested gently on the beast's snout. The shadowhound's red eyes were half closed, but he remained still as the doctor worked. How much time does he have? Lyra asked. Tae-min looked at the scanner readings again. Maybe 12 hours. The crystal is releasing toxins faster now. His body is trying to fight it, but he is losing. Tears rolled down Lyra's cheeks. She pressed her forehead against Kai's massive head and whispered something in her own language. The shadowhound made a low rumbling sound in response. Tell me how this happened, Taemin said, as he prepared his examination tools. Start from the beginning. How did you two meet? Lyra was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was filled with old pain. My people lived on a beautiful world called Valandra. We had crystal cities that sang in the wind, gardens that grew food. Without soil, we were happy and peaceful. But we were also weak. She paused to wipe her eyes. Hegemony Empire came 3 years ago. Big ships filled the sky. Soldiers with energy weapons marched through our cities. We tried to surrender quickly so no one would die, but Empire did not want surrender. They wanted slaves. Taemin continued his examination while listening. The crystal in Kai's neck was unlike anything he had seen before. It seemed to be alive, pulsing with dark energy. They took everyone who was young and healthy. Lyra continued. Put us on slave ships. I was only 15 years old, never been away from home before. Ship was crowded and dirty. Many people got sick. Some died during the journey. Where were they taking you? Taemin asked. Mining world in hegemony space. Very dangerous work. Most slaves die within 2 years, but our ship never made it there. Lyra's hand stroked Kai's fur, gently as she remembered. Pirates attacked the slave ship. Not to free us. They wanted to steal us and sell us for higher price. Battle damaged the ship's engines. We crashed on unknown world, and that world had shadowhounds. Taemin said worse than that. It was death world. Everything there wanted to kill you. Poisonous plants, toxic air, creatures that hunted in packs. The slavers and pirates who survived the crash died within first few days. Taemin stopped his examination. How did you survive? I almost did not. I was hiding in piece of broken ship. Had no food or water. Could hear monsters hunting outside. I thought I would die alone and afraid. Lyra looked into Kai's eyes as she spoke. Then he found me. Biggest, scariest predator on whole planet. I was sure he would eat me right away. But when he looked at me, something strange happened. What do you mean? My people are empaths. We feel emotions of others, usually only works with our own kind. But this shadowhound was different. When I reached out with my mind, I could feel his thoughts. His feelings. Taemin set down his scanner. This was getting more interesting than he expected. He was lonely, Lyra explained. Shadowhounds usually hunt alone, but they need packs sometimes. Kai had been alone for many years. When he felt my fear and sadness, something inside him responded. So he decided to protect you instead of killing you. Not right away. First few days he just watched me from distance. I shared my small amount of food with him, talked to him even though I was scared. Eventually he came closer, started bringing me food and water. Taemin began cleaning the wound around the crystal. Kai tensed but did not move. Living on that world was hard, Lyra said. So many dangerous things. But Kai taught me how to survive. Which plants were safe to eat, how to find clean water, where to hide when big storms came. And I taught him things too. What could you teach a shadowhound? How to use tools, how to plan ahead, instead of just hunting by instinct. My empathic connection helped us work together like a real pack. We became family. Taemin nodded as he worked. The story was incredible, but he could see the bond between them. The way Lyra calmed the massive predator just by touching him. The way Kai trusted her completely even while in terrible pain. How long were you on that world? He asked. 3 years. We found good cave to live in. Kai hunted for food while I gathered plants and made tools. We took care of each other. I was not lonely anymore, and neither was he. But you left eventually. Smuggler ship crash-landed near our territory last month. Pilot was hurt but alive. I convinced Kai to help him fix his ship instead of eating him. In return, Pilot agreed to take us off the death world. Taman finished cleaning the wound and started taking detailed scans of the crystal. The readings were confusing. The object seemed to be part weapon and part living organism. That is when patrol caught us, Lyra continued. We were boarding smuggler ship when hegemony forces appeared. Big fight happened. Kai fought to protect the ship while I helped pilot start engines. That is when they shot him with crystal weapon. Did you escape? Yes, but barely. Pilot dropped us here on New Busan before running away. He was too scared to stay and help Kai. Taman looked at the scan results again. The crystal was definitely alive. It was growing inside Kai's body like a parasite. Worse, it seemed to be changing the Shadowhound's brain chemistry. Lyra, Taman said carefully. This crystal is not just poison, it is some kind of biological weapon. It is trying to control Kai's mind. The girl's eyes went wide with fear. What do you mean? I think the hegemony uses these crystals to turn predators into weapons. They shoot them into dangerous creatures, then use them as living weapons in their armies. Lyra looked at Kai with new understanding. That is why he has been having bad dreams. Why sometimes he gets angry for no reason. The crystal is trying to make him into monster. But your empathic bond is helping him fight it, Taman realized. That is probably the only reason he is still sane. Lyra pressed her face against Kai's neck. We have to get it out of him. Please, doctor. I cannot lose my only family. Taman stared at the complex scan results. Removing the crystal would require surgery more difficult than anything he had ever attempted. One wrong move could kill Kai instantly. But if they did nothing, the crystal would turn the noble creature into a mindless weapon within hours. I will need help, Taman said. Finally, this is beyond what I can do alone. Part 3. Human Ingenuity vs. Galactic Fear. Nurse Park Soro arrived at the clinic just as Dr. Taman finished his examination of Kai. She pushed through the front door, carrying supplies from the pharmacy, humming a cheerful song. The humming stopped the moment she saw the massive Shadowhound lying on the clinic floor. The supply bags fell from her hands. Medicine bottles rolled across the floor as Sora stumbled backward against the wall. Doctor, she whispered, her voice shaking with terror. What is that thing doing here? His name is Kai, Taman said calmly. He needs surgery to remove a crystal weapon from his neck. Sora stared at him like he had lost his mind. Are you insane? That is a Shadowhound. They kill everything they see. It will tear us apart the moment we get close. Look at him, Sora, really look. The nurse forced herself to study the creature more carefully. She saw the terrible wound in his neck, the labored breathing, the way he lay perfectly still while Lyra stroked his fur. I do not care how hurt it is, Sora said firmly. Those things cannot be trusted. The moment he feels better, he will remember what he is and kill us all. Taman picked up the fallen medicine bottles. Kai has been protecting Lyra for 3 years. He had many chances to hurt her, but never did. He chose to be her family instead. That is impossible. Shadowhounds do not make friends. Then explain what you see in front of you. Sora had no answer for that. She watched as Lyra whispered softly to Kai in her own language. The massive predator's tail moved slightly, like a dog responding to its owner's voice. Even if he is somehow different, Sora said, you cannot do surgery on a shadow. You do not have the right equipment. You do not know their anatomy, and if something goes wrong during the operation, he might wake up angry and confused. Taman knew she was right. The crystal was embedded near Kai's spinal cord. The surgery would require precision tools and knowledge he did not possess. He needed help from someone with military medical training. Call Dr. Lee Minho at the defense base, Taman told Sora. Tell him I need him here immediately. The army doctor, why would he come help with this? Because Minho owes me a favor, and because he is the only surgeon on this planet with experience removing enemy weapons from wounded soldiers. Sora reluctantly made the call. While they waited, Taman continued monitoring Kai's condition. The crystal was pulsing faster now. The Shadowhound's breathing was getting worse. Lyra, Taman said gently, can you tell if the crystal is affecting his mind right now? The girl closed her eyes and pressed her hand against Kai's forehead. Her empathic abilities let her sense his thoughts and emotions. He is fighting something, she said with worry. Like voices in his head telling him to hunt and kill. But he remembers me, remembers our time together. That is keeping him strong. 20 minutes later, Dr. Lee Minho arrived at the clinic. He was a tall man with short gray hair and serious eyes. He wore his military uniform and carried a large medical bag. Minho stopped in the doorway. When he saw Kai, his hand moved automatically to the weapon on his belt. Taman, what have you gotten yourself into this time? Minho asked. I need your help removing a hegemony bioweapon from this Shadowhound's neck. A bioweapon. Minho set down his bag and approached carefully. Show me. Taman handed him the scanner results. Minho studied the data with growing concern. This is not just a poison dart, Minho said. This crystal is actively changing the creature's brain chemistry. It is designed to turn predators into controllable weapons. Can you remove it? Lyra asked hopefully. Minho looked at the scans again. Maybe, but the surgery will be extremely dangerous. The crystal has grown tendrils throughout his nervous system. One wrong cut could paralyze him or kill him instantly. And if we do nothing, Taemin asked, he will become a mindless killing machine within hours. The hegemony will be able to control him completely. Outside the clinic, a crowd was gathering. Word had spread quickly through the small colony that a shadowhound was in the medical center. Some people were curious. Others were terrified. A few demanded that the creature be destroyed immediately. Commander Han Yujin pushed through the crowd and entered the clinic. She was the colony's administrator and head of security. Her face was stern as she looked at the situation. Dr. Kim Yujin said formally, "I have received reports of a dangerous predator on the premises. Colony. Regulations require that all dangerous animals be removed or destroyed." "Kai is not dangerous," Lyra said quickly. "He is sick and needs help." Yujin studied the young alien girl, then looked at the massive shadowhound. "Miss, I understand you care about this creature, but shadowhounds are apex predators. They have killed thousands of people across the galaxy. I cannot risk the safety of this colony." Commander Taemin said, "Give me 24 hours. If we can remove the crystal, Kai will no longer be affected by the hegemony's mind control. He might even be able to help us understand how these bioweapons work. You want to perform surgery on one of the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy, using equipment not designed for the procedure, with no guarantee of success," Yujin said, "and you think this is a good idea?" "I think it is the right thing to do." Yujin looked around the clinic. Sora was preparing surgical tools despite her fears. Minho was studying the crystal's structure on his scanner. Lyra was staying close to Kai, her empathic connection keeping him calm. "The colonists outside are scared," Yujin said. "Some of them want me to call in military support to destroy the creature. Others are arguing that we should help him. The colony is divided. What do you think?" Taemin asked. Yujin was quiet for a long moment. She had been a soldier before becoming a colonial administrator. She had seen what the hegemony empire did. 2 conquered worlds. She had fought against their bioweapons before. "I think," Yujin said slowly, "that if the hegemony is turning predators into weapons, we need to understand how to stop them. And I think this might be our only chance to study one of their bioweapons while it is still removable." She turned to address the group. "You have 24 hours. If the surgery is successful and the creature remains peaceful, I will consider granting him protected status as a colonial ally. If the surgery fails, or if he becomes violent, I will have no choice but to order his destruction." "Thank you," Lyra said with relief. "Do not thank me yet," Yujin replied. "You still have to survive the operation. And even if you do, convincing the colonists to accept a shadowhound as a neighbor will not be easy." As Yujin left to address the crowd outside, Taemin and Minho began preparing for the most difficult surgery of their careers. They had less than 24 hours to save Kai's life and prove that even the most feared predator in the galaxy could choose to be something more than a weapon. The crystal in Kai's neck pulsed brighter, as if sensing that time was running out. Part 4. The Surgery and Revelation. The surgery began at midnight. Dr. Taemin had moved all the furniture out of the main clinic room to make space for Kai's massive body. Bright surgical lights cast harsh shadows on the walls. The smell of antiseptic filled the air. Dr. Minho finished setting up his portable surgical equipment, military-grade medical tools that were far more advanced than anything in Taemin's small clinic. Laser scalpels, microcameras, neural monitors, all the technology they would need for the most delicate operation of their lives. Nurse Sora checked the life support systems one final time. Despite her fears, she had agreed to help with the surgery. Her hands were steady as she prepared the instruments. "Vitals are stable for now," she reported. "But his body temperature is still too high. The crystal poison is spreading." Lyra sat on the floor beside Kai's head. Her small purple hands rested on his snout. She had been maintaining their empathic connection for hours, helping to keep him calm and focused. "He is ready," she said softly. "He knows what we are trying to do. He wants to fight the voices in his head." Taemin looked at the team around him, a frontier doctor, a military surgeon, a frightened nurse, and a young alien girl with amazing abilities. It was not the surgical team he would have chosen, but it was what they had. "Remember," Minho said as he picked up the laser scalpel. "The crystal has grown tendrils throughout his nervous system. We have to cut them away piece by piece without damaging his spinal cord." "How long will it take?" Taemin asked. 6 hours. Minimum, maybe 8, and we have to work fast. The longer we take, the more the crystal will fight back." Minho made the first incision. Black blood flowed from the wound, but Kai remained perfectly still. The shadowhound's breathing was deep, and even, showing incredible self-control. "Neural activity is spiking," Sora reported, watching the monitors. "Something is happening in his brain." "The crystal knows we are trying to remove it," Lyra said, her eyes closed in concentration. "It is trying to take control of his mind. Right now, fighting against me." Taemin used the micro-camera to look inside the wound. What he saw made his blood run cold. The crystal was not just embedded in Kai's neck. It had grown roots throughout his entire nervous system like a parasite. "This is worse than we thought," he said. The crystal has integrated with his brainstem. It is connected to his memory centers, his motor controls, everything. Can we still remove it? Minho asked, continuing to cut away the smaller tendrils. We have to, but look at this. Taemin pointed to the monitor, showing the crystal's structure. These patterns are not random. They are organized, planned. The crystal was pulsing in complex rhythms. Data streams flowed through its crystalline structure like blood through veins. It was clearly artificial, but it was also alive. It is a computer, Sora realized. A living computer that integrates with biological systems. More than that, Minho said grimly, it is a control system. The hegemony is not just poisoning predators. They are turning them into remote-controlled weapons. As the surgery continued, they discovered more disturbing details. The crystal contained detailed information about hegemony military operations, locations of secret bases, troop movements, plans for future attacks. They are building an army, Taemin said as he carefully extracted another tendril. Thousands of controlled predators from dozens of different worlds, each one with implanted intelligence about specific targets. Minho added, they know exactly where to attack and how to cause maximum damage. Lyra's face was pale with concentration. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she fought to keep Kai's mind stable. The crystal is trying to activate emergency protocols, she said through gritted teeth. It wants to send a signal to other hegemony forces. Tell them where we are. Can you stop it? Taemin asked. I am trying, but it is very strong. And Kai is getting tired of fighting it. The surgery entered its most dangerous phase. The main crystal had to be removed from where it touched Kai's spinal cord. One wrong move could paralyze him forever or kill him instantly. Minho's hands moved with incredible precision. The laser scalpel cut through tissue that was thinner than human hair. Taemin used microforceps to hold delicate nerve fibers out of the way. Neural pressure is building, Sora warned. His brain is swelling from the trauma. Almost there, Minho said, focused entirely on his work. Just a few more connections to cut. That was when the crystal fought back. A pulse of dark energy shot through Kai's nervous system. His massive body convulsed on the operating table. The monitors screamed warnings. His heart rate spiked to dangerous levels. It is trying to kill him rather than let us remove it, Lyra cried out. The crystal would rather destroy his brain than lose control. Hold him steady, Minho ordered. I have to cut the main connection now. Taemin and Sora held Kai's head still while Minho made the final cut. The laser scalpel sliced through the last tendril, connecting the crystal to Kai's brain. The moment the connection was severed, everything changed. The dark crystal stopped pulsing. The evil red light faded from its surface. Kai's body relaxed as the foreign influence left his mind, but more importantly, his eyes opened. For the first time since arriving at the clinic, Kai looked at the humans around him with clear, intelligent awareness. Hello, he said. Everyone in the room froze in shock. Shadowhounds were not supposed to be able to speak. They were supposed to be mindless predators, driven only by instinct. You can talk? Taemin asked in amazement. Always could, Kai replied, his voice deep and rumbling. Crystal made it hard to think clearly. Hard to remember who I am, instead of what they wanted me to be. Lyra laughed and cried at the same time. I knew you were more than just a predator. I knew you were special. You saved me, Kai said, looking at each member of the surgical team. All of you, even though you were afraid. Even though helping me put you in danger. What else can you tell us about the crystal? Minho asked, still holding the extracted bioweapon. Kai's eyes grew dark with anger. It contained orders for me to attack this colony. Kill the humans. Destroy the defenses. Prepare for hegemony invasion. Invasion. Taemin felt a chill run down his spine. Fleet is coming, Kai said. Many ships. Many weapons. New Busan is their next target. They plan to use controlled predators to soften defenses before main attack. When Sora asked, soon, maybe days, maybe weeks, but they are coming. The room fell silent as everyone realized what this meant. The surgery had saved Kai's life and freed his mind, but it had also revealed a terrible truth. The hegemony empire was planning to invade their home, and now they had to find a way to stop them. We need to contact Commander Yujin immediately, Taemin said. The colony has to be warned. More than that, Kai said, struggling to sit up. We need to find other controlled predators. Free them. Before invasion begins, turn hegemony's own weapons against them. Lyra helped steady her massive friend. Can you do that? Can you help us fight back? Kai looked at each of the humans who had risked their lives to save him. People who had shown him kindness when they could have chosen fear. Yes, he said firmly. It is time for the hunters to become the hunted. Part 5. The Alliance forged 3 days after the surgery. Kai stood in the colony's command center alongside Commander Yujin and her military staff. The massive Shadowhound looked completely different now. His red eyes were clear and intelligent. His movements were controlled and purposeful. Most importantly, he spoke with the wisdom of someone who had seen too much war. The hegemony fleet will arrive in 2 weeks, Kai explained, pointing at the star map with one clawed finger. 12 battlecruisers, 40 smaller ships, and at least 200 controlled predators in transport vessels. 200, Yujin repeated grimly. We have maybe 50 soldiers and some civilian militia. How are we supposed to fight that? We do not fight the fleet directly, Kai said. We turn their own weapons against them. Dr. Taman studied the tactical display. In the past few days, he had become an unofficial expert on hegemony bioweapons. The crystal they had removed from Kai was being analyzed by the colony's best scientists. The control crystals work on a specific frequency, Taman explained. If we can build a device that broadcasts the same signal, we might be able to free other controlled predators. But that would require us to get close to the hegemony ships, Yujin pointed out. How do we do that without being destroyed? Lyra spoke up from where she sat beside Kai. We use their own plan against them. They expect their controlled redditors to attack the colony first. What if some of those redditors were already free and working with us? You want to infiltrate their forces, Yujin realized. Pretend that Kai is still under their control. Exactly, Kai said. I know their protocols, their command codes. I can get close to the transport ships carrying other predators. Dr. Minho looked skeptical. That plan puts you in incredible danger. If they discover you are free, they will kill you immediately. Better to die fighting than live as a slave, Kai replied simply. Yujin studied the plan from every angle. It was risky and complicated, but it was also their only real chance of survival. We will need more than just freed predators, she said. We need the other human colonies to help defend this sector. I can contact them, Taman offered. Tell them what we learned about the bioweapons program. They will want to know about this threat. Over the next week, the colony transformed into a military base. Civilians practiced emergency drills. Soldiers prepared defensive positions. Scientists worked around the clock to build devices that could disrupt the crystal control signals. Kai proved to be invaluable in these preparations. His knowledge of hegemony tactics helped them plan better defenses. His understanding of predator behavior gave them insights into how the controlled creatures would attack. But more than that, his presence changed how people thought about alien species. Many colonists had been afraid of all non-humans before meeting Kai. Now they saw that intelligence and goodness could come in many different forms. He is not what I expected, Nurse Sora admitted to Taman one evening. When I first saw him, I thought he was a monster, but he is actually quite gentle and very smart. Fear makes us see only what we expect to see, Taman replied. It took courage for all of us to look past our fears and see who he really was. Lyra had been working with the colony's communication specialists to improve her translation abilities. Her empathic connection with Kai was useful, but they needed to be able to communicate with other species as well. I can sense emotions from most predator species, she explained. Fear, anger, confusion. If the crystals are controlling them, their natural emotions will be suppressed. I should be able to tell which ones are truly free. The night before the expected hegemony arrival, the entire colony gathered in the main square. Commander Yu stood before them with Kai at her side. The sight of a human leader standing next to a shadowhound as an equal would have been unthinkable just 2 weeks ago. Tomorrow we face a test, Yujin announced. Not just of our military strength, but of our values. The hegemony believes that might makes right, that the strong should enslave the weak, that different species cannot work together. She gestured to Kai. This shadowhound has shown us they are wrong. He chose protection over predation, cooperation over conquest, intelligence over instinct. He proves that any being can choose to be more than what others expect them to be. The crowd murmured in agreement. Even the colonists who had been most afraid of Kai now looked at him with respect. We fight not just for our colony, Yujin continued, but for the idea that all thinking beings deserve freedom, that friendship can exist between any species willing to try. When the hegemony fleet arrived the next morning, they found Nubus apparently defenseless. The colony's military forces were hidden in underground bunkers. Civilian ships had evacuated most of the population to nearby asteroid bases. The enemy sent their controlled predators down first. Just as Kai had predicted, dozens of transport ships landed outside the colony walls. Hundreds of dangerous creatures emerged, their eyes glowing with the red light of crystal control. But among them was Kai, pretending to still be under hegemony influence. He moved with the other predators toward the colony, waiting for the right moment to strike. When the controlled creatures reached the outer defenses, Kai activated the signal disruptor hidden in his collar. The device broadcasts the freedom frequency that Taman had discovered, one by one. The red glow faded from the predator's eyes. Confusion replaced mindless aggression. Fear replaced artificial courage. These creatures had been taken from their homes and forced to fight. Now, they remembered who they really were. The battle that followed was unlike anything the hegemony had expected. Instead of facing defenseless colonists, they found themselves fighting their own weapons. Freed predators turned on their former controllers with the fury of the enslaved. Seeking justice. Kai led the charge against the hegemony ground forces. Lyra rode on his back, using her empathic abilities to coordinate the various predator species. Together, they were unstoppable. When reinforcements arrived from other human colonies, the battle became a rout. The hegemony fleet retreated in confusion, leaving behind dozens of freed creatures in abandoned ships. In the days that followed, New Busan became something new. Not just a human colony, but a sanctuary for all species seeking freedom from oppression. Kai was officially appointed as the colony's first non-human security chief. Lyra became a cultural ambassador, helping different species learn to communicate and work together. Dr. Taemin returned to his medical practice. But now his patients included beings from across the galaxy. His small clinic became famous as the place where the impossible had happened, where a human doctor had saved a shadowhound and changed the course of galactic history. As he worked one evening, treating a young trader's injured wing, Taemin reflected on how much had changed. 2 weeks ago, his biggest worry had been running out of bandages. Now he was part of a growing alliance of free species working together against tyranny. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. Lyra peeked through the door, smiling. "Doctor, there. Is someone here who needs your help? Another impossible case." Taemin smiled back. "Send them in. I am starting to specialize in impossible cases." Outside, he could hear Kai's deep voice talking with the new arrival. Something about infected crystal wounds and mind control devices. Just another day in the life of a frontier doctor who had learned that sometimes the best way to heal the galaxy was one impossible patient at a time. Part 6. The Growing Alliance. 6 months after the battle at New Busan, Dr. Taemin's clinic had grown into something he never could have imagined. What started as a small frontier medical center was now the headquarters of the Free Species Medical Alliance. Beings from dozens of worlds came seeking help for crystal control injuries and other bioweapon damage. The morning sun streamed through the expanded clinic windows as Taemin checked on his current patients. In one room, a bird-like Scythian pilot recovered from having microcrystals removed from her wing joints. Next door, a massive rock creature called a golem was being treated for mind control, scarring left by hegemony torture devices. Dr. Kim called his new assistant, a young human named Jin Woo. "The morning supply ship just arrived, and we have 3 emergency cases coming in from the outer rim." Taemin nodded as he finished updating a patient's chart. The clinic now employed 15 medical staff from 7 different species. What had once been impossible was now routine. Humans working alongside aliens to heal the damage caused by the hegemony empire. The first emergency patient was carried in by 2 worried friends. She was a feline-like Nexari warrior with crystal shards embedded throughout her body. Her breathing was shallow and her fur had turned gray from toxin exposure. "Found her like this on abandoned hegemony ship," one of her friends explained, in broken standard. "She was prisoner for many months. They used her for crystal experiments." Lyra appeared beside Taemin, now wearing the blue uniform of a certified medical translator. Her empathic abilities had made her invaluable in treating traumatized patients. "From different species, she is in great pain," Lyra said after placing her hand on the Nexori's forehead, "but also afraid. She thinks we might be more hegemony scientists." "Tell her she is safe now," Taemin said gently. "We are here to help, not hurt." As Lyra translated through empathic connection, the Nexori's eyes opened. Fear gradually changed to hope as she realized these beings truly wanted to help her heal. The treatment took 4 hours. Each crystal shard had to be carefully removed while monitoring for neural damage. But with the experience gained from hundreds of similar cases, Taemin and his team worked with practiced efficiency. During the surgery, Kai arrived with his daily security report. The massive Shadowhound now wore a specially designed uniform. That marked him as New Bison's chief of interspecies security. His presence alone deterred most troublemakers, but his intelligence made him excellent at solving complex problems. 3 more hegemony scout ships spotted near the Epsilon sector. Kai reported to Commander Eugen, who had come to check on the clinic's security. "They are watching our supply routes but not attacking yet. Any sign they are planning another invasion?" Eugen asked. "Not yet. I think they are confused about what happened here. Their tactics depend on fear and division between species. Our alliance makes no sense to them." Dr. Minho entered the conversation, carrying data tablets filled with research notes. The military surgeon had become the colony's leading expert on bioweapon removal and was training other doctors across human space. The latest intelligence reports show hegemony forces retreating from 12 different sectors. Minho said, "Every time we free a group of controlled predators, they lose a major weapon. Other species are starting to fight back too." Taemin finished with the Nexari patient and joined the discussion. "How many beings have we treated for crystal control now?" "Over 800, Lyra answered, checking her records. "And each one goes back to their homeworld with knowledge of how to resist hegemony bioweapons." The second emergency case arrived just as they finished talking. This patient was something none of them had seen before, a crystalline being whose entire body was made of living mineral. Hegemony scientists had tried to use him as a controlled crystal himself, turning his natural abilities against his own people. This will be challenging, Taemin admitted. How do you perform surgery on someone made of crystal? Very carefully, Kai suggested with what might have been humor. The treatment required completely new techniques. Instead of cutting, they had to use harmonic frequencies to separate corrupted crystal from healthy mineral. Lyra's empathic abilities were crucial in understanding what the patient was feeling, since he could not speak in any way they understood. While the medical team worked on the crystal being, reports came in from other colonies. The Free Species Alliance was spreading rapidly across the galaxy. Beings who had suffered under hegemony rule were finding hope in the example set by New Busan. Listen to this, Yujin said, reading from her communication tablet. The homeworld has been liberated. Lyra's people are free again. Lyra looked up from her work, tears streaming down her purple cheeks. My family. The message says they are actively searching for survivors of the slave trade. They want to bring their children home. For a moment, the young alien girl was overwhelmed with emotion. After years of believing she was alone in the galaxy, there was hope of seeing her family again. I want to go back, she said quietly. But I also want to stay here. This has become my home too. Why not do both? Taemin suggested. You could help establish medical centers on Valandra using what you have learned here. Spread the knowledge of how to treat bioweapon injuries. The third emergency patient arrived as evening approached. He was a young human boy, maybe 12 years old, who had been infected with a new type of crystal parasite. His desperate parents had traveled for weeks to reach New Busan after hearing about the clinic's reputation. Please help him, the boy's mother begged. The crystals are growing inside his brain. Other doctors said there was nothing they could do. Taemin examined the boy carefully. The infection was unlike anything they had seen before. Instead of control crystals, these were reproduction crystals designed to turn the host into a breeding ground for more bioweapons. This is new hegemony technology, Kai observed, studying the scan results. They are trying to create biological factories inside living beings. Can we remove them? The boy's father asked. We can try, Taemin said, but it will require a completely new approach. The surgery lasted through the night. The medical team had to develop new techniques in real time, combining everything they had learned about crystal removal with innovative approaches to this new threat. As dawn broke over New Busan, the boy opened his eyes. The crystals had been successfully removed, and his brain showed no signs of permanent damage. Thank you, his mother whispered, holding her son close. Thank you for not giving up. Looking around the clinic, Taemin realized how much had changed. Since that day when Lyra and Kai first burst through his doors, what had started as one impossible case had grown into a movement that was changing the galaxy. Beings from hundreds of worlds now looked to New Busan as a symbol of hope, a place where the impossible became routine, where fear gave way to understanding, where enemies could become friends. As he prepared for another day of impossible cases, Taemin smiled. Each patient they saved was another victory against tyranny. Each successful surgery was proof that cooperation was stronger than conquest. The galaxy was slowly healing, one patient at a time. And in a small clinic on the edge of human space, a frontier doctor continued to prove that sometimes the most powerful weapon against evil was simply the willingness to help someone in need.